you know, your autobiography, your memoir bears eloquent and shocking testimony to the brutality of the circumstances of your upbringing, what you had to put up with, and it paints Islam in a very, very bad light. But you've been at pains to emphasize, I've noticed in previous interviews, that your movement away from Islam was not a response to that brutality, as it were, to the revulsion that you felt at that. It was an intellectual decision. It was something that you'd worked out as intellectually the right thing. Perhaps you could tell us, if I understand that correctly, perhaps you could tell us something about what you mean by that.
I think when you're in the middle of brutality and when you're born into it, when you experience it, and when you're in a world where it's not only about brutality, you know, people get killed. My grandmother believed in evil spirits. She had us gently mutilated and all that, but she was also a very loving, dear woman. And I understood that. So the terms of brutality, extremism, and so on, that didn't exist in my vocabulary before I came. But when you get, unlike my grandmother, unlike my mother, unlike a lot of people I know, when you get access to a lot of education, mental and especially intellectual stimulation, you get to really get in touch with your reason, then you no longer have an excuse to say, you know what, I'm going to... My grandmother has the excuse and the bliss which ignorance brings. Right. I don't have that excuse. So when on the 11th of September, bin Laden made a plea and said, if you are a true Muslim, stand up. Islam is being attacked. You have to stand up and defeat it. Wow. After having gone to university, after having taken account of the alternative, I no longer had a reason to say, you know what, I'm just going to put my head in the sand. He is right. I'm going to follow him, or I'm going to go into a paralysis of denial, or I'm going to make all sorts of excuses. When I opened the Quran and I saw his citations and I put it to what the Quran said in the Hadith and so on, I was like, yeah, I can't agree with this, and I don't want to agree with it. I think it's inhuman. That put me immediately on a mental discord with myself, with my upbringing, with my religion, that I was an infidel, and I had to deal with that. And I only want to tell everyone it's not easy.
I'm sure it isn't. It must be horrendously difficult. But let me just press on that a little further. I mean, do I understand this correctly? Was 9/11 the incident, bin Laden's remarks, that made you realize you were no longer a Muslim? Would that not be the correct way of putting it?
Well, I think in Holland we always say the drop that made, een drop op een gloeiende plaat.
Right, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, the straw, that sort of thing, yeah. But what happened on the 11th of September was so huge that I can hardly call it a drop. But if I consider my life between 1992, when I ran away from the arranged marriage, to the 11th of September, I can say I didn't really lead a very religious life. I started to avoid religious people. I took off my headscarf, I took off my hijab. I also took off my mental and intellectual headscarf. I would read the books that we were required to read for political theory. I'm looking at some Harris. And I would just pretend, I just tell myself, you know what, if I read on, I know I'm sinning. So, I'd say, God, I'm only reading this just to get my marks. I don't really believe in this.
Okay.
But then I'll read on because I was very curious about it. Then I'll go out with my friends. I had a boyfriend. I would drink wine. I would do all these things.
Right. But you were still saying you were a Muslim if anybody asked.
Oh, not only that. I was extremely defensive. There's a guy called Joris Luijendijk, who's the correspondent for one of the very prestigious papers in the Netherlands, and he had written a book, and which he said, if you're a good Muslim, you give a tick to your wife. And he had a quotation from the Quran, and I was furious. I was like, how on earth can he say this? Mm-hmm. And it had to do with him being a non-Muslim, reading the Quran and actually understanding it. It had to do with the cognitive dissonance of being told exactly, being confronted with what was in there. But I had accomplished all the mechanisms of remaining a Muslim and not leading the life of a Muslim person.
I see.
Wow, guys. She actually said a lot, and I didn't actually get a lot. Like, how will I even put it? She said she lost faith in Islam, that there was an incident that happened that made her started losing faith in Islam. But there's something she made mention of, and I wish the host threw the question back at her, but I don't know why the host didn't pay attention to that particular point or statement she made. She said there's a particular thing she read in Hadith, the Quran, that actually made her start losing faith in Islam, and she was like, no, she's not going to do this, she's not going to continue with this, like, she has to step down. You get what I'm saying? So what did she read? I don't know, this is not the full video. They just, clip out some of the important points she made and just uploaded it. I'm sure the video will be very, very lengthy. It's going to be long. But I wish the host threw that question, because you told me a lot of things happened. There was fights. Everybody has to stand for yourself, do this and that. What really happened? Like, she spoke a lot, and to me, I did not understand what she said, because it's just like she was talking in parables. That's how it sounded to my hearings. Because as a non-Muslim, you need to let us understand. Like, I don't even think a Muslim person will actually understand what she said. Maybe because this is the first time I'm actually watching her clip. Maybe with time, when I start watching her other clips, maybe she will talk more about her experience or why she left Islam. Maybe that's why I'm kind of confused. When I say confused or lost, I don't know. Please speak one for me. But shit, she's saying that she had to take off her hijab, all because of an incident that happened, and she had to she told herself, you have to choose whether this or that, and she left Islam and decided, wow, that was a huge one. Someone that was very, very religious, because of an incident that happened, and because she read a particular thing in the Quran. And she also spoke about a man that spoke about how men treat their wife, and she was disappointed that that person could use that word. Like, I'm kind of confused. What's the meaning of that tweet? I mean, what did she say? I don't know whether it's a sexual, it's a bad word, but wow. For a religious person to actually leave Islam, because an incident should not be a foolproof for you to leave something, right? We all go through challenges, right? Because we go through challenges, or we go through one thing or the other, doesn't mean we should just lose faith in God, or we should just abandon our family. Let's use family for an example. Just imagine you go through a lot of challenges. Doesn't mean you should abandon your family, your wife, your children. You get what I'm saying? So because she had a child, I mean, I'm sure there's more to that. There's more she didn't explain. Maybe because the video is not complete, that's why we didn't get to the other part. I wish they added more to what she said, but I don't know if I'm making sense. But I really need to watch more of her clips so I can get to understand her better. There's more to it. I need to figure it out. I don't know, or we need to figure it out together, because definitely when I get more of her clips, we watch it together so we can know how it all started, why she left the religion, which religion she is now, and she was a former parliament in the Netherlands, and this is a very old video, and I don't know how things are now with her in present time. But that was a beautiful one. Let me know your point of view in the comment box. Please like this video, comment and share. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.